Form 4 Information and Communication Technology. Chapter 14 File Management. The learning objectives: save, work regularly, and keep information secure. Use sensible file names and formats. Create and manage files and folder structures. Saving work. When you are creating digital products, it is important that you save your work regularly. This is to make sure that you have a copy of your work in case the application crashes or you lose power to your computer. This should include saving your work frequently to secondary storage such as hard disk drives, solid-state drives, and optical disk drives. The keyboard shortcut to save a file is Ctrl+S on a Windows computer or Command+S on OS X for Apple Mac. Securing files. You can secure your files by adding a password to be able to read or edit the file. Applications often have built-in features that allow you to secure your files. If you are using Microsoft Word, you can protect the document with a password using the Product Document options in the Info section of the File menu. Naming files. It is important to use sensible file names. A sensible file name describes the contents of a file. It is often a good idea to add the date of the event or the file creation date in the file name. When you add a date to a file name, you should consider using reverse date order, which means giving the date in the order year, month, day. For example, an invitation to a party on the 26th of December 2019 could be dated 19/12/26. If you need to use more than one word in your file name, you should not use spaces between the words. This is because the spaces can cause problems with some software. Instead, you can use snake case. Snake case means using underscores to separate words in a file name. Versioning. As you make changes to a file, you can name it with a version number. This is known as versioning, and it allows you to return to earlier versions of the same document at a later date. You could include the date in your versioning by using the format major dot revision dot build date dot build number. Build date is the date on which a file was created, and the build name number is the number within a series of versions from the build date. For example, 1.2.16.12.26.5 specifies the following information. Major is version 1. Revision is 2. Build date 26th of December 2016. Build number from that build date is 5. Folders. You can use a folder structure to keep your folders and files organized. Keep your folders organized so that you can find your files easily. File formats. Software applications can only read files that are saved in compatible formats. For example, presentation applications cannot open files saved in a format used by spreadsheet applications. It is good practice to save your files in a format that will be compatible with the software that you will use to edit it. When saving files, you can choose to save them in different formats. For example, you might choose to save your work in an older format so that it can be read by people who use older versions of the software. Software is often backwards compatible, which means that newer versions of application software can read files created using older versions. However, sometimes you will find that older versions of the software cannot read files created using a newer version. File formats are often identified by file extensions. File extension means the letters at the end of the name of a computer file which show what type of file it is, such as .doc. Files that are saved in application file formats are often only able to be viewed and edited by applications that are compatible with that format. Of application file formats and their related published file formats. The first application type is word processor. The application is Microsoft Word. Application file format is .docx. Published or exported file format is .pdf. Likewise, every application type have their applications application file format, and published or exported file formats. There are some questions regarding for this chapter. The first one is explain why it is important to save work regularly. Second one, explain why it is important to secure your files by adding a password. Third one is write 5 published file formats. Final one is state one method used to secure a file. Please refer the chapter questions on page number 207 in your textbook. Let's see the summary of this chapter. Saving your work frequently is very important. File security is another important part of file management. Naming your files properly will ensure that you always work on the correct version of a file. Managing your files properly will ensure that you always work on the correct version of a file. It is important to use the correct file format. Thank you.